What up, gamers? I'm Jason, and today on Dice & Dragons, I'm going to be teaching you how to play Marvel Zombies, published by CMON Games and Guillotine Games, designed by Shinall and Fabio Cury, based on the original Zombicide, published by the two aforementioned publishers. This game is for 1 to 6 players, ages 14 and above, and plays in about 60 to 90 minutes. Now, if you've ever played Zombicide before, you know that it can take much longer depending on the player count and just how the scenario actually goes. So in this video, we'll be going through the setup and the how to play. And then what you'll be doing in the game is taking on the roles of some of your favorite Marvel heroes, except you've now become the Zombicide version of them. You'll be going up against S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and unzombied heroes that are trying to save the world from this zombie plague, while you are afflicted with the hunger, which is affecting your ability to think and how you will take some of your actions, because you'll be rolling dice when you're making attacks that can potentially increase your hunger, and it will increase every turn. You must complete the different objectives of each scenario in order to successfully beat the game. I think I've talked enough about the game. Let's teach you how to play. Now I'm going to teach you how to set up Marvel Zombies. I have as many components as I can on camera. That means only 2 of the heroes, all the superheroes, an example of each of the different type of troops, and a bystander. We've got the zombie trade cards. We've got the Avenger sign and its reference card, because I will teach that to you. We've got the superheroes, the spawn deck, the bystander deck. Now, one thing that I have removed because it will ruin everything for a tutorial, I have removed the 2 rescued bystander cards. I'm going to remove them for setup. I will shuffle them back in because this will have a spawn occur instead of you finding a bystander that you would like to munch on. Now we will be going through the full setup for the tutorial, which is called Growing Hunger. So we're just really going to follow the instructions here. As you see, we've got 8R and 8V. We're going to need to start our heroes in this space, set up the 2 spawn points, put the doors, set up the exit, as well as set up the blue objective. So there are a few different doors on this map, and we will start with those. So you're going to want to place a red door here, as it's not specific. You'll need to place the blue door here, and you would want to place another door here. Right now, I only have a green door that is available. Normally, the green door would be tied to an objective. The red doors are just out of reach. I'm just going to put this one here. And for the case of this tutorial, it's going to act like a red door. Actually, I think once we're done the setup, I will swap it for a red door. But you get the idea. That's where we're going to put the doors. Now we need to place the blue objective. We will set up the exit and the spawns. So this is a regular spawn. The first spawn is here. The exit is here. Now we're going to need to place 2 bystanders, 1 in each location that has a person symbol. So we've drawn 2. We'll just put them underneath. There we go. And we're just about ready to go. As you can see, there's not a ton of stuff to do. We place our 4 zombie heroes. For this scenario, it is going to be Hulk, Wasp, Captain Marvel, and Iron Man that I will be using. I also have my dice nearby. When you're setting up your heroes, you're going to want to have the 2 cubes. Set the 5 for health, 0 for hunger, and then your activation token here, just to remind you when you've taken all of your actions, you will flip that over. It's just a nice little tracker element that they added. And as you can see, setup is very straightforward, especially for the tutorial. We don't have a ton of stuff to do. So there you have it. We are now set up and ready to go. I'm just going to showcase the other player boards so you can see them. I've got Captain Marvel set up over here, and I'll just be tracking them off camera. Don't worry, there are plenty of troops surrounding the board. You just can't see them. Then we've got Iron Man. So we are ready to fight some superheroes, fight some S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and have some interesting things happen. So keep it right here. I'll be right back, and we're going to dive into how to play the game. So how do you play Marvel Zombies? Well, you need to accomplish different objectives. We will review the objectives for this mission. We must devour all bystanders. The game is lost if any bystander escapes the map. Escape via the exit with all zombie heroes. Any zombie hero may leave through the the zone for free at the end of their turn, as long as there are no enemies on that zone. Now the special rules are locked down. The blue door cannot be opened until the blue objective has been taken, which will grant 5 XP to the zombie hero that eats it. Well, eats it, opens it, whatever you want to call it. So first things first, on every player's turn, they will increase their hunger track, they will refresh their activation token, they will then activate their zombie hero, and they can move, open a door, gain a trait, interact with an objective, and attack. There are 2 different types of attacks. They may become ravenous, which we will then cover once all the zombie players have activated. We then go to the enemy phase where we activate the enemies, spawn enemies, go through what the bystanders will be doing, and then we go through the end phase. And below here on this handy dandy reference sheet, we have the target priority, meaning if a superhero is in a zone, you can't hit a guard, a trooper, a specialist, bystander. If there's a guard, you can't hit a trooper, specialist, bystander, so on and so forth. You get the idea. So you may be able to avoid targeting priority with some of your superheroes, such as Wasp's diminutive scythe, which lets her do such a thing. Now, we will not be starting with any enemies on the board, so for the first turn it's going to be fairly straightforward. Now we've got Wasp and Iron Man that are ranged characters, meaning they can do some pretty cool things in terms of blasting into zones, but the first place we got to go is here, and I think we're going to start with Captain Marvel at this point, who'll move 1, 2, which is 2 of her actions. She may then spend her third action to open the door. Now you'll notice here we have the symbol. That means we will spawn. So we need to draw a spawn card. In this case, we get a guard rush. So we will spawn a single guard, and they will then activate. Now, normally I'd put these next to the deck, but just to keep things clearer, I'm going to, I've got some guards off the camera right here. I'll leave that one out there. And I just put the spawn card off. So the rush, so he takes an activation. Luckily, we're not in the zone. He's not attacking us. So he just moves into Captain Marvel's space. Not fun, but don't worry, there's lots of stuff that we can do. So the guard has a toughness of 2, meaning we need to get 2 successes on the dice, and they'll depend on our attack in order to defeat him. We're going to actually go with Hulk, though. We'll 1, 2, and make the attack. Now, Hulk's ability is the strongest one there is, so enemies have -1 toughness, meaning he only needs to hit for 1. Now, don't forget, we got to increase the hunger, and we did that for Captain Marvel. Sorry, I just did that off camera. So hunger is now 2, which means that you add a dice to all your attacks, depending on how hungry you are. Now, we may do smash, which would then be a 4-die attack with a success of 4+. We may do a devour attack where we would eat the guard, and if that was the case, we would then take our hunger and drop it down to 0. But in this case, we want some extra dice. We're going to make the 4-die attack. We'll roll the dice, and we've got 2 4+s, so we don't even need Hulk's ability. The guard is defeated. You'll then gain 1 XP for the guard. And that would be the end of Hulk's turn. Sorry for interrupting your regularly scheduled programming. We just realized when we were going through the video that there was an omission with regards to how the hunger mechanic works during attacks. And that is related to what happens when you roll a 1. You'll see that it is actually a mouth. It's because that will cause your hunger to increase. So we're going to just go through a quick example of how this could happen with Hulk. So imagine at the start of his turn, increase hunger by 1. We're going to try to do a smash here with 4 dice. We have to roll an extra dice for the hunger. Just means the chance for our hunger to go up is always present. We roll the dice, and on this roll, we defeat 2 enemies. So I'll just move them off the board here, but our hunger will now go up by 1. So that was our first action. We can try again with our second action, and we actually only defeat 1 enemy. We're still in good shape. We could roll again, and still in good shape. Now, where it would become problematic is if, let's say, for example, on this last roll, we had rolled 2 hunger, means we become ravenous, and end up taking damage from ravenous at the end of the turn. Don't worry, ravenous and everything like that is covered in a lot of detail during the how to play. This is just correcting an omission that we noticed we had. So apologies for that. I'm gonna let you get back to your regularly scheduled programming. Now, there's not much else that we can do. We're gonna have some guys spawning. So we're actually gonna move 1, 2, 1, 2. I will move their hungers up I'm just doing this rather quickly. Now for the third actions, for both Wasp and Iron Man, they're going to take a zombie trait. So for the case of Wasp, discard after devouring a superhero or a guard, you may heal one of your wounds. And for Iron Man, it's an ambush. So Iron Man went last, and that'll be fine. Unfortunately, we do have to spawn a trooper in our zone. And then we get to draw another trait. So Undead Rage. Now we need to activate enemies. Troopers deal 1 damage. We can decide who will take the damage. As Wasp was able to heal, we're going to go ahead and have Wasp take the damage. Next step is going to be to go through the spawn. So we're going to draw 2 spawn cards. In this case, we draw 2 specialists. That will then be landing on the board right here. And then we're going to spawn an escorted bystander. So we spawn a bystander with a guard. We'll draw a bystander card. In this case, it's going to be Mary Jane. Now, escorted bystanders act differently than other bystanders. They move towards the heroes. And what will happen is if you do defeat their guard, at the end of the enemy phase, if there is no guard with them, another one will spawn to protect them. So we'll just put her card over there. And is that Mary Jane right here? No, that's Betty Ross. So we'll look around, and I'm trying to find where Mary Jane is hiding because we've got quite a few different bystanders. She is right over here. So we have, that's Blind Al, but I'm going to use Blind Al as a stand-in for Mary Jane. I don't want to be wasting time trying. Oh, wait, you know what? There she is. Here we go. Mary Jane. There. And I do want to point out something. I made a mistake when I did spawn the trooper because we'd have to reveal a bystander. Now, actually, it's kind of funny because I'm happy I did it this way. This is secret mission number 2. Secret mission number 1 and number 2 actually should be removed during setup. Ignore them. They will show up in specific missions. So what you would do when you open the door, because you're spawning everything in this zone, you would also reveal the other bystander. In this case, it'd be Agent Coulson. So Coulson is also a combat bystander, which you can see right here. So during the enemy phase, right before the spawn phase, he would have moved 1 coming to attack the zombies. Now he only activates like a troop. He does not have 2 actions like a superhero. There you have it. We've gone through a full turn of the game. So if you're familiar with Zombicide, it's very much the same thing. Now, there's no guards or anything that we really want to do right now. We got to get this objective to open the doors. We've got a guy that's in our space. And Agent Coulson, his special ability is once during your turn, you may increase hunger to perform 1 free range attack. Well, Iron Man or a Wasp would like that. But let's show off some of the special abilities here. So we're going to have Iron Man increase his hunger to 2. So he's going to roll 5 dice, 4+, trying to take out the 2 specialists there. So we've got 2 6+s, so we will defeat the specialist. But he has Repulsor Blast, meaning if anyone survives, he can actually decide to have them move zones, which I think is just pretty cool. You can push enemies or remaining enemies into the spaces of other heroes. But in this case, both specialists have been defeated. He gains 2 XP. And he's in a good spot here. So he can take another 2 actions. He's going to move in here. He's going to go for the Devour attack, which will be 3 dice, 4+ on Agent Coulson. 3/4, so great roll. So Agent Coulson gets devoured. And then his card would go in this spot. Now I just put it on Wasp so that you'll see. But in this case, he's been devoured by Iron Man, who would then reduce his hunger. So for his Wasp, and we'll just use her as an example here. For hunger had been 2. Drop down to 0, and she'd have Agent Coulson. But in this case, that's what happened with Iron Man. And that is now the end of his turn. But I made a mistake. So we're going to actually walk that back just a little bit. It's good that I'm doing that because I got excited teaching you. I neglected the fact that there is a trooper in the zone, meaning before you can do anything else, unless I want to spend a full 2 actions getting in here, I would have to have defeated this trooper, because when a trooper's in your zone, it'll cost an extra action, meaning moving to this zone costs 2 actions. So we'll just pretend Iron Man did everything that he was supposed to do and that he hasn't acted yet. So we'll actually just rewind this whole thing here. And we'll say that Hulk decided that he was going to go ahead and smashy smash this guy. So Hulk would be rolling 5 dice. Got the trooper. And then he decided to move 1 to potentially engage Mary Jane. Gain a zombie trait, Rotten Strength. Should go here. And that'd be the end of his turn. Then we'd have Iron Man do his thing. Eat Coulson. And there you go. Now, Captain Marvel hasn't done too much, so she's going to move 1, 2, and pick up the objective. As we mentioned, when you pick up the objective, you gain 5 XP. Now, you're noticing that I'm not always flipping the zombie activation tile. I've been playing a lot of Zombicide for a long time. It just doesn't, I don't think, to flip it. It's not that big of a deal as long as you keep track of what you're doing. But now that we have picked that up, we can go ahead and open this door here. We must then, first and foremost, spawn the bystander. So we get Sharon Carter, a combat bystander. Just trying to find where she is. So we've got Sharon Carter. We need to perform 2 spawns. So we'll spawn 3 troopers. And then here we will spawn 4 troopers. All right. Now Wasp still has a couple of actions that she can do. I'll put Sharon Carter up here. So she's going to attack into the room. It's now her turn. I forgot to move the hunger up. As long as you do it at some point during your turn, it makes sense. It only really affects stuff if you're ravenous, which we'll talk about in a moment. So we're going to make a 4-die attack, 3+. Great roll here. Clean out all the troopers. Go ahead and grab 3 XP. Now, I can move in if I so choose. However, it can be risky if you get things like extra activations. I'd be in a position to take a ton of damage because we're going to have troopers that move in towards me, and that could definitely be troublesome. So at this point, we're going to stay here, and we'll take another zombie trait. Just playing it safe. And I do want to talk about a couple of other things, such as how how troops and things would potentially split. But to do that, we'd have to have a couple of different doors. It doesn't really happen on this map, but it's important to know for the rules of the game. But on that note, Wasp is done. So we are now going into the enemy phase. A good example would be, let's pretend that there was a door here. And these 3... that doesn't really work. I'd have to be someplace where it's equal distance. So let's pretend that this here was one zone with 2 doors. If these 3 guys could kind of, walk in this way and walk in this way, the group would split. That's not the case. This is a zone, this is a zone, this is a zone. But you get the idea. If this was one full zone with 2 doors in, you'd split the party here, 2 going after one going after the other. And that's only when there's equal distance to zombie heroes. Now, you've noticed that I've been shooting through the door. We do have line of sight to this space here. One of the reasons why Wasp took a zombie trait is because line of sight extends here, does not extend to the next room. That's one of the reasons why you don't always see the doors line up as well. Walls block line of sight. So in this case, she's not able to shoot through 2 doors. Miss Marvel, whose ability would let her attack a couple zone, the wall would stop it. So just keep that in mind. And there you have it. So we covered a lot of the stuff there. So let's go ahead and go through the next enemy phase. Very simple. Closest zombie is there. Advance by 1. advance by 1. Next, we'll perform the spawn, and in this case, we've got a superhero. So to figure out who's joining the fray, we reveal the top card. It is Black Panther. So he performs a number of actions equal to 1 plus the highest danger level. So it means he can move 2 to 5 actions. So the danger level we're at is 1. So he will perform 2 actions. Black Panther spawns up here. And then on the second spawn, we get a specialist airdrop, a special card. So if drawn during the enemy phase, instead of spawning as usual for each zombie hero, you'll spawn 1 specialist in your zone, meaning here come the specialists. So each zone ends up with a specialist in it. And then gameplay would continue. Now lots of stuff going on. People we got to beat up, stuff we got to do. And this is often a great time when you want to move really from, like, the back going forward. So you can do different stuff. In this case, I would have Captain Marvel attack the troop in her zone. She'd go first, increasing her hunger up to 3 now, so she's almost getting to Ravenous point. And that is an awful roll for her. Actually, no, it's 3 plus Mighty Punches. Also, her Energy Blast means she automatically takes someone else. This pushes her up to 6. We don't necessarily want her to go Ravenous, but we'll let it happen just for the sake of the playthrough. So make another attack, get this specialist. So she now goes up to yellow, meaning she has an extra action. So keep that in mind. So she now has 4 actions. We're going to draw a zombie trait at this point. Iron Man is going to fly out here. So he's going to increase his hunger to 2, actually, because he may make a free range attack in the space. Now you cannot attack bystanders. You can only devour them. So he's rolling 5 dice. And I just threw that one across there, 4 plus. So we do take out 2 troopers. His XP to 4. And we've only actually taken 1 action at this point because of what's going on. So we're going to do the repulsor blast again. Take out this trooper. And then we'll go for the devour action, just to lower our hunger. So we go ahead and eat this specialist. Now by increasing hunger, I was able to get that free attack from Agent Coulson. So next we're going to want to go with Wasp, increase hunger, flip this over. Now I can try to devour T'Challa, but that's going to be very hard. But my Mighty Sting is 3 plus, so I got a couple chances to take out a superhero here. So I'm going to roll a 5 die attack. And let's see what we can do. Well, luckily, unlucky for T'Challa, that's 5, 6, 6, and 4. All these are above 3 T'Challa, which will bring him over here. His toughness is 4. Because I I equaled or exceeded his toughness, he then gets defeated, meaning Black Panther is off the map. I will then gain 4 XP, so putting me into yellow. Be it 7 or 8, doesn't really matter at this point. So I have an extra action. That was my first action. Second action, third action is going to be Devour. For 4 die attack. Got it. So I'm not Ravenous. Now really the only thing we want to do at this point is escape. So move here. And then that'd be the end of my turn. So with regards to Hulk, he's going up. I mean, we're going to be Ravenous, which means you can only move or do the Devour attack. So we're just going to go ahead and smash this guy, or, we'll devour him. It doesn't really... I rolled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So not even that would have been enough for actually 1 less than a smash. Go ahead, take the XP, 1, 2, and Now everyone has activated. I forgot the activation tokens again. It doesn't really matter, as I said. So we'll then do the enemy activation phase, where they go ahead and move 1. Now, an interesting thing to consider is it says all bystanders must be defeated. However, I do believe they're talking about the bystanders here, not necessarily the ones that spawn. So just keep that in mind. But in any case, it'll be a good example here because Captain Marvel is now ravenous, as is Hulk. So if Hulk was actually ravenous, you know what? We're going to have him, instead of going all the way there, he'll take the zombie trait. And we're just going to see what we can do here. We're going to now spawn. Troopers open fire, which would be an interesting thing. If we had any troopers that were on the board, they can attack at a space of 0 and 1. You would roll dice. And on a 5+, they hit, meaning if this was a setup, someone would take a damage. So in this case, nothing happens with the troopers open fire. We then gain 2 specialists, well, 3 specialists now because we're in yellow. So I will just showcase the card. So I grab all the specialists. We actually really knocked over the bystander there. So we've got 3 specialists, as you can see. Now, we'll start with Hulk because he's going to go up here. And what you're going to see is that we flip the activation token. He's now ravenous, meaning the only thing he can do is move and make a devour attack. That's all he's allowed to do at this point. So in this case, that's what we're going to do. We're going to move. We're going to use quick bite here to make a free devour attack for 5 dice. So with this 5 dice, we go ahead and chow on this guy. So that was 1 action, another XP. So we're going to go ahead and chow down on Mary Jane, just to make sure there are no bystanders. So we gain her ability, and that would be the end of Hulk's turn. Next, we've got Captain Marvel, who's ravenous. So the only thing she can do is move 1. But we don't want her to go. We'd actually go with Wasp first. We'd bust open the door and make her escape at the end of the turn. We have Captain Marvel that can move 1, 2, 3, 4, even though she's ravenous. Now, if she chooses not to exit at the end of her turn when you're ravenous, you do lose 1 health. So keep that in mind when you're playing the game. So in this case, both of them would exit. They're allowed to exit at any time. This would just leave the other heroes. Iron Man is going to move 1, 2 because specialists are annoying. He's got 4, 5 because we're going to make the free range attack using Agent Coulson, the boost. So we take out 2 of them. Gain 2 XP, putting me out to 6. So here we move 1, 2. Got a free range attack. This is my 3rd action then. Got the last specialist. Then we'll move back here. So that is the end of the turn. Next, we have to go ahead and spawn enemies again. So it'll be 2 specialists. So just so you can see, should just keep those out here. And then another escorted bystander. As the rules say that, we have to eat all the bystanders, I'll pretend it wasn't that one because I'd like to get this done. So this is an extra activation, meaning if there was any guards on the board that hadn't gone, they could get to activate. So if there was a guard left in the space here with an extra activation, they'd go pow to the Hulk or pow to Iron Man. Now, the reason why I'm not spawning the escorted bystanders, I just kind of want to end this how to play tutorial here. So it now be their turns. I'm not going to bother with the activation. They go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you have it. They get out of the scenario. And that was a how to play full playthrough of Marvel Zombies. The only thing we didn't cover is the Avenger sign, which we're going to do now. So if the Avenger sign is on the map, you may choose to interact with the object, which is what we did as an action when we picked up the blue objective token. So you're able to do that. And what the Avenger sign does is you just take a look at the number of enemy figures and roll a die for each figure. On a 4+, you will defeat the enemy. So for example, let's say you've got a whole slew of enemies within line of sight at a range of 0 to 2, because they got to be within line of sight here. No line of sight diagonally. You could go ahead and go, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Sorry, I think I'm counting too much here. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there you go. There's a ton of guys. You'd be able to roll 11 dice and potentially clear out all of these troopers. So let's just do this right now. We'll give it a shot. So that's not a bad roll. We get 3 with 6, and then we got to roll another 5 dice. So we get 3. And then another 3. So we take out half that zone with the Avengers token. You can then flip it over, as it may only be used twice. Sorry for the interruption again. It is Future Jason here, just to bring you some corrections with regards to the Avengers sign. Now, it definitely is omitted from the rulebook what you do with the sign when you activate it. And I got to give a big thanks to a friend of mine, Kevin, who found this on a designer's live stream where they were showing the plays of the game. And when you do take the Avenger sign and you want to use it to attack a different zone, you will be throwing the Avenger sign, meaning, so if Hulk used it here, he throws it here, it gets damaged. And then if he wanted to throw it, at another space, you would trigger it, but then it would get removed from the board. Everything else that we cover with regards to the Avenger sign is correct. The only thing that is not clear and it's missing from the rulebook is that the sign is actually thrown. So if you want to try to hit the heroes, you're throwing it into that space. You'll follow the rules on the card, roll the dice, and defeat enemies accordingly. So that is the correction. And now I'll let you get back to your regularly scheduled programming. Sorry for the interruption. And I neglected to do it. Sorry, when I devoured Sharon Carter, forgot to put her as Wasp's ability. Now, because I'm teaching the game, it's not a big deal. So I've corrected everything, and as you notice, Wasp kind of ate her and then moved out, so her ability wouldn't really have mattered. And there you have it. We've taught you how to play Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide game. Now keep it right here as I'll be coming back at you with a quick outro. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you like what you saw, don't forget to click that like button, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when our next video is released. Also, down below in the video description, you'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see some pictures of Julie and I playing Marvel Zombies, there'll be plenty on those feeds. Also, down in the video description is a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. They carry plenty of Kickstarters, sometimes even Kickstarter exclusives from CMON and other companies. So you want to click that link. You'll get 10% off your next purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel as a portion of that purchase is returned to us. And now popping up in front of me are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. Over here will be our most recent release, and over here it'll take you back to our review of Marvel Zombies. And with that being said, don't forget, keep playing games.